Hello, welcome back YouTube. It's me, Seabass, and we're back on Throttle Hobby. Thanks, truck. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to now do the satanic ritual of doing an oil change on my 2014, here we go, Dodge Ram truck, 1500 5.7 liter. Now, you might be wondering, why do you call it a satanic ritual? Well, because I dread doing the oil change on this thing. I love this truck half to death, but every company, for some reason, does something dumb. And in Dodge's case, it's where they put the oil filter that really pisses me off. But we'll get to that in a minute. So what you're gonna need for this is a wrench. It'll be a size 13 on the drain plug. So I'm using this bone wrench, would hatch all my sizes. I don't need to do anything. An oil filter. For this truck, we're gonna go with the CarQuest 84060. An oil wrench of some sort, flashlight, and an entire box of brake cleaner. Now, that last part was a joke, but we are gonna have to use a lot of brake cleaner because the place they put this oil filter in is so abysmal, and it runs on not only just the axle, but it runs all over the four-wheel drive. I guess it's called an actuator, where it presses in. It runs on all this electrical stuff, which is so unnecessary, and you have to clean it or else it's all gonna get gunked up and messed up, and you'll see. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pop the hood. Hood latch or pop release will be underneath the driver's feet right here. And then we open up the belly of the beast. Cool. So first thing before we decide to jack it up, we're gonna do is just do a quick little inspection and make sure we check a look at the air box, make sure that we have coolant, test the coolant, make sure your vehicle is actually cold when you do that, and fill up the windshield washer fluid. So let's get that done right away. So we'll start with the easiest one right here, windshield washer fluid. Done. Next thing we'll do is we'll just make sure there's some coolant in the reservoir. We have a little dipstick here, and it seems like we are in the good. We are in the middle of that stick, so that's good. Check the coolant real quick, make sure it's good for the weather. Hopefully it doesn't spill all over the place. It's pretty cold, but these things love to surprise gush. All right. Cool. So the way this works is you just suck up some coolant, and you make sure that that little dial should be anywhere in between 45, 35, and 20. I would say would be very good for the winter. It's to make sure that your coolant is good and that your pipes will not freeze when it gets cold. So put that back so we know the radiator fluid is good. Also, anytime you spill radiator fluid, make sure you wash it off with water. Radiator and fluid and electronics do not like each other. Next, what we're gonna do is pop the air box open and see that our air filter is still worthy of being in here. There it is. Let's take a look. Let's see. And she is still looking pretty good. If you look up into the light, we can still see through it. So air filter is still good. Good. So now we lift it. I usually just go by the frame right here. I have a preset, but frame to frame back there. And this one I like to do sideways because I know behind that frame rail is brake lines, and the last thing you want to do is pinch one of those. And while we're still here, we'll also air up the tires when we're up there, full service. And I like to go by the door jamb. Door jamb says that the tire pressure should be somewhere around 39 psi. I'm going to go to 40 all around. So now we lift this thing. That's good. That's good. You can see why I turned it sideways. You do not want to nick these brake lines. And good. Cool. So here's our first start. Oil pan, drain plug. Let's get the bucket and the wrench. Gross. So while we let that do its thing, we're gonna go around and we're gonna air up all the tires. Undo the caps. That right there is perfect. I can put the cap back on. We're gonna do the same thing for the other 4 and even the spare, which should be at the same or 60. So now that we checked all the tires and the tires are good, aired up to the correct pressure, what I like to do while I'm still waiting for more of this to drain, because it's kind of cold and it's sluggish, is I like to go around through the truck and just make sure that everything is still connected. Calipers are good, the CV axles aren't broken at the boots. The tires, although they're pretty much shot, are good. That means the strut, strut is good. And it's not making any curvy things on the tires, any wavy lengths. Sway bar lengths are connected. Just do a quick little checkup of everything. So the front looks pretty good. Usually I like to do the covers and check them, but I recently did check the front and the back and they're good, so we're not going to do that. Everything here is good in the back. Shocks are good. Tires don't show any wear, so the shocks are good. Let's see here. Sway bar lengths connected. And yes, my tires are very shot. I need to replace them soon. Cool. So we're all good in terms of that. So let's now put the drain plug back up into the hole. And now we're gonna hit this with some brake cleaner. Now here's the part that I absolutely dread. So, Dodge, in all their brilliant wisdom, decided to put the filter way up here. Which means when I undo it, it falls all over the front rack and pinion, front and behind, goes all into these crevices, which are a pain to clean up, and goes to the actuator that engages your 4-wheel drive. It's electrical, so it's like you have to clean the whole thing or else it's going to get into your electronics, it's going to get over here, and the worst is if you don't wipe any of this stuff off and you're driving down the road, all the crap's going to just clump to it and it's just going to be a real mess. So we're going to have to get that off, and the way I usually do it is actually from the front, because you have more leeway and more of an angle to get to that than from the bottom. So time to get my trusty rim that's been here forever. Get up in here. All right. Cool. Wasn't too bad. But now here comes the part I hate. 3, 2, 1, mess. So it goes all over here, all over the back side of that, and it absolutely cakes this, and it's gonna cake all those electronics when I finally loosen it up, and it just falls on top of here. I'll try to do this as cleanly as possible. I doubt it'll work, but we can try. Another thing is make sure that the gasket actually stays on here. I've had an instance once on my truck where I double gasketed it, and luckily it didn't break, but that could have been a complete disaster. So next what we're gonna do, grab our new filter out the box, and we're gonna lube up this O-ring with the existing oil we just dumped to make sure it doesn't lock back up and get sucked back into the place where it sits. Good. Rubber finger around here to get any excess. There you go. So now we're gonna stick this back up in there. Good. We stopped the flow of oil from there. So now we can start from the top and clean everything down. I'll start from here where the source is. You can see why this is a huge pain in the rump when doing oil changes, which is why I usually use synthetic. I can do this as least amount of times as possible. Because man, oh man, between me cleaning this and actually getting high off of this brake cleaner, this really does suck. Now that we've drowned the whole thing in brake cleaner, we're just going to clean up some of the access parts, the white rag, as best we can. All right, looking pretty clean. Now we're ready to drop this thing back down, get some oil. All right, so we got our funnel. And like I said, I'm going to be using synthetic. So I have here 5W20 full synthetic motor oil. All right, start it, let it run for a little bit.
Recommendations of what I should wear based on the weather.
Shush. Okay, should be good enough. Now we're going to quickly just reset the oil life. There it is. Hold right button to reset. Okay. Go back. Hold. Okay. And there we go, 100%. Boom. We're gonna shut it off. We're gonna go inside engine compartment and double check. It's after we've dipped it once, we've taken it out, and then we've cleaned it and dipped it again. You can now see on the stick, it's supposed to be somewhere in between this hole and this one, and it's right in the middle. So 7 quarts is perfect. So we'll just put the stick right back in. And that's it. And that concludes our dreadful oil change for this this video. And I can see why I don't really like doing it on this thing, because half the time you're cleaning and the other half the time you're trying to wiggle out a filter that's put in a dumb spot. So what I'm pretty much going to do now is just make myself a synthetic sticker, 5,000 miles, good for, slap it on the window so I know when to come back and do another devil change. And that's it. So this is Seabass signing off. We did the oil change on the truck, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.